Hello, my name is Brooke Michael, and I'm one of the advisors here at the University of Michigan-Flint in the School of Nursing. And today we're going to talk about the online RN to DNP with MSN program. Before we get started, I always like to give a warning to make sure that you're in the correct webinar. So this webinar is for the associate's degree nurse that wants to skip the bachelor's degree in nursing and go into a graduate program of MSN DNP for nurse practitioner. If you hold your BSN or are currently pursuing a BSN, this is not the webinar for you. There is a BSN to MSN to DNP webinar on our website that you can watch. So now that we know you're in the correct webinar, let's talk about how does this program work. So this program is for my high achieving associate's degree nurse. That means you have a 3.5 GPA or better in your associate's degree in nursing program. If you have a lower GPA than a 3.5, then you would want to pursue our RN to BSN program with early assurance into the MSN and DNP program. You're going to skip over the BSN. There is no point in which you will get your BSN and go into a nurse practitioner program. There are prerequisite courses, undergraduate prerequisite courses that must be completed before you can start into the graduate level curriculum, which we're going to talk about on a future slide. Once you've completed those prerequisite classes, you have up to 2 years to complete them. And once you complete them, then you can start into the MSN and DNP curriculum. The main start date is a fall term every year, so you would try to get those prereqs, those undergraduate courses, done in time to start into a fall semester into the MSN and DNP curriculum. Every student is admitted like they're going all the way to the DNP, which stands for Doctorate of Nurse Practitioner, if you didn't know. And then you have an opportunity to stop at the MSN, Masters of Nursing, and set for your nurse practitioner exam or complete your DNP. You do not, though, have any point in which you can stop out and get your BSN. So let me reiterate, there's a stop out point to get your MSN, but there is no point in when you can stop and get your bachelor's degree in nursing. So if you feel like you would ever need your bachelor's degree of nursing, either for your future employment or for your future endeavors, again, you want to look at the RN to BSN program with early assurance into the MSN and DNP. So let's talk about the 4 different tracks that we have. All 4 tracks are nurse practitioner. All 4 tracks have a stop out in the MSN, or you can continue on to the DNP. All 4 you will set for a nurse practitioner exam. And again, all 4, there is no stop out point to get the BSN. So we have the adult care, acute care track, which does have a few other prerequisites, and we're going to talk about those on the other slide. They have some work requirements. There's the gero primary nurse practitioner, there's the family nurse practitioner, and then of course there's the psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So RN to DNP with prerequisite classes. So these are your courses that are required to be completed before you start into graduate programs. Now, caveat, when you're applying to this program, you are picking the semester you want to start into these prerequisites. So if you want to start into these prerequisite courses in a fall semester, you pick the next available fall semester as your start date. Do not try to guess when you will be done with these and when you want to start into graduate programs. That's not how that works. You are picking the semester that you're starting into one of these classes as to when you're ready to start in the program. So there are different prerequisite classes. They are all undergraduate level classes. You can see they're 100 to 400, which makes it an undergraduate level course. Some of these classes can transfer in. For example, English 112, which is Comp 2, transfers in from the majority of the community colleges and universities across the state. And then NSC 180, legal and moral decision making, as another class you could potentially have transferred in. It transfers in from about a dozen different community colleges and universities across the state. You do need a grade of a C or better in that English class and a grade of B or better in NSC 180. The other classes rarely ever transfer into the University of Michigan-Flint. Those classes, you'll see there, 300 and 400 level classes, are traditionally taken with us. All of the classes, including the English class, can be taken at the University of Michigan-Flint if you have not already transferred those in. And then you can take them online every semester. They're offered every 7 weeks. The 300 and 400, as I mentioned before, very rarely transfer in. The only time that those would transfer in would be from another university. And those classes would have to be evaluated. So you would need the transcript or the syllabus in order for us to evaluate those classes. So this is the online BSN to MSN to DNP curriculum guides, whether you're a part-time student or a full-time student, whether you start in winter or fall. So you can look over these. These are clickable. This is on our slideshow presentation. And so you can click these links. They're also available on our website, and you can look at what the curriculum will look like once you've completed those prerequisite classes. So again, you have 2 years, up to 2 years. It normally takes 2 to 3 semesters, but you have up to 2 years to complete those prerequisites. Once you're done, then you would start into these curriculums. And so based on when you finished those prerequisites, whether it was a fall semester or a winter semester, here's what it would look like when you started into the graduate level curriculums. So let's talk about why choose the University of Michigan-Flint for your MSN and DNP. So we do have highly trained faculty that are available to students outside the normal class hours and are flexible with their availability. We have research opportunities. A lot of our students actually even end up publishing with some of our faculty. It is a University of Michigan degree, so I know that Flint sometimes throws students off, but it is a University of Michigan degree. And we are widely respected across the country for the quality of our graduates. So it doesn't matter where you go in the United States, if you carry that University of Michigan degree, they know that you were well educated, that you didn't just buy your diploma, and that you improved your practice. We are accredited by the CCNE, which just kind of is that stamp of approval of showing that it is a high quality program. And again, upon completing your MSN, you will be eligible to set for the nurse practitioner exam. We do have an 86 to 100% test pass rate on the first attempt. The coursework is all completed online, and then your clinicals will be completed close to home. We also have clinical coordinators that will help you find your clinical placement within your area, which is a big difference between our program and other programs. We're not going to leave you high and dry and just make you find it on your own. We do have clinical coordinators that's their sole job, is helping you find clinical placement in your area. So let's talk about some common questions that a lot of students have. So when can I start? So prospective students wanting to start on those prerequisite classes can apply for a fall, winter, or summer start. Again, I can't reiterate this enough. Pick the semester start for the semester you want to start on the prerequisites. So again, if you're ready to go and the next upcoming semester is fall, pick fall as your start date. Do not try to guess when you are going to be done with those prerequisites and when you're ready to start into graduate programs. That's not how that works. You are applying to start into those prerequisite classes, the 100 to 400. So pick the semester you're wanting to start into those. Then you have up to 2 years to complete those prerequisites, and then you'll start into graduate programs once they are done. There's not a secondary application. You're just picking this application, and this is when you start. Is it a University of Michigan degree? Absolutely it is. It is the same diploma signed by the same people, whether you went to Ann Arbor, Dearborn, or Flint, and you have the same alumni benefits. Do you need to take the GRE? No, you do not need the GRE. Will you get a BSN partway through? No. There is no point in which you will get your BSN. I cannot reiterate that enough. You will have an MSN and or a DNP once you've completed all of that coursework, but you can't just say, well, I've done enough classes. That should be the equivalent of a BSN. Do I have to come to Flint? During those prerequisite classes, you do not. There's no reasons you have to come to Flint for those 100 to 400 level classes. Once you start into the MSN and DNP curriculum, that's a 500 level and above, you will come to Flint about 3 to 5 times a year. Can I go part-time? Yes. When you are applying, you are going to apply as a part-time or a full-time student. So again, you can see those tracks on those previous slides. You can click them to see the different tracks, and you will see if you want to be part-time or full-time based on your commitment. So how long does it take? For the prerequisites, you can have up to 2 years to complete those 100 to 400 level classes. You can do them in as little, though, as 2 semesters. So if you wanted to knock them out right away, you can knock them out in 2 semesters, or you can have up to 2 years. Now I'm going to talk about when you start into graduate programs. So I'm going to give you a timeline, not from the day you were admitted into the program, not from the day you started the prerequisites, but from the day you started into a 500 level and above graduate level course. Because again, the prerequisites, there's flexibility. You do them kind of as fast or slow as you want. But this is when you start in a graduate program because it's cohorted, meaning it's going to be built upon itself, and you follow a very strict path. So as an MSN student, if you are part-time to get to the MSN for the nurse practitioner exam, be a nurse practitioner if you want, that part-time track is going to take you 2 years and 8 months. As a full-time student, it would take you 1 year and 8 months from the day you started into graduate programs. Not the day you were admitted in the program, not the day you started prereqs, but the day you started into graduate programs. To get to the DNP is 1 more year past the MSN. So for a total of the day you start into grad programs to the day you graduate, 3 years, 8 months. For a part-time, you can see 1 year past the MSN, and full-time is 2 years and 8 months, 1 year past the full-time MSN. If you are a winter start, these are based on a fall start. If you are a winter start, it will not speed up your graduation, but it will lighten the load. So if you don't get done with those prerequisites until a winter start, you can absolutely get started in a winter semester into graduate programs, but just know that that curriculum is slightly different, and you can see that again on the different curriculums when you click them on the previous slide. Can I work full time? During those prerequisites, yes, because again, you can kind of go at your own pace. You could take one at a time. You have up to 2 years to do them, and there's only like 6 to 8 prereqs. So it's pretty easy to work full time if you want during the prerequisite classes. Now, once you start into the MSN and DNP curriculum, it's really going to depend on if you picked full time or part time as your curriculum. I know you just saw that full time MSN is 1 year and 8 months, and you're like, yep, that's the one I want. I want to do that one in 1 year and 8 months, but those students are not working. If they're working maybe PRN or less than part-time. There is not enough hours in the week to work full-time and go to school full-time. So if you have the ability to not work or just work a little bit here and there, yes, you can pick the full-time track. But keep in mind that if you need to work full-time, even going to school part-time and working full-time will consume most of your time. There won't be a lot of time for outside activities like family or community. So how many classes do I take each semester? Again, during those prereqs, 100 to 400 level classes. You can go as fast or as slow as you want, as long as you get it done within 2 years. But for the part-time students, once you start into graduate programs, it's an average of 2 classes a semester. Full-time students is going to be an average of 4 classes a semester. The other thing to keep in mind is the part-time students have the first summer and second summer off. They go to school during the 3rd summer though, so keep that in mind. The full-time students go year-round. There is no break. So more questions. Can I take time off? During those prerequisites, if you need to take a semester off here or there, no big deal, because again, the classes are offered every 7 weeks, and there's not a curriculum that you have to follow that's rigid. Once you start into the MSN and DNP coursework, though, it's not going to be suggested. That curriculum is what we call a cohorted curriculum. It builds upon itself. So with that being said, if you need to take time off and there is a life event, we understand that that happens, but understand that if you take a semester off, it could delay your program up to a year, because you can't just skip one semester and go to the next semester classes. You have to have that curriculum or those courses that were in the previous semester, and those classes may not be offered again for another year. So if you need to take time off for a life event, absolutely, we understand that comes up. Just know that it could delay your program up to a year. Will we help with clinical placement in the MSN and DNP? We do allow students to do clinical experiences in their communities. you will take an active role in that process. We do have clinical coordinators that'll help you find clinical placement within 2 hours of your home, but you need to make sure you understand that that's still going to involve you. You may need to make a phone call, you may need to send an email, you may need to get some papers signed. There's some different things that you're going to do to take an active process, but our clinical coordinators will make sure that you find clinical placement within 2 hours of your home. What if I live outside of Michigan? If you live outside of Michigan or plan to live outside of Michigan during the program, you need to go to this document and look to see if your state is what we call a no-go state. There are certain states that do not allow us to do clinicals in their state. They are what we call no-go, and they don't allow other state programs to come in and do clinical stuff. So if you are thinking about moving or you currently live out of state, you need to read this document and see if your state is considered a no-go state. So again, let's talk about admissions requirements. We've already kind of touched on it, but again, you need a nursing license to apply to this program. So if you are currently in an associate's degree program and are considering this, you cannot apply until you have a valid nursing license. So you need to finish your associate's degree program and pass that NCLEX before you apply to the program. Again, you do need that 3.5 GPA or better in your last 60 credits. So that's going to be the majority of your associate's degree. If your associate's degree, for whatever reason, was less than 60 credits, there are a few, but not many, we are going to look at your whatever credits you do have. So if you have less than 60, you don't have to have a minimum of 60, that's fine. If your associate's degree program awarded you the associate's degree and the RN license in the state that you're residing, then that's fine. We're just going to look at whatever credits you have. But if you have more than 60 credits, which most students do, they either changed their major, they took additional classes, or their associate's degree required more than 60, we're going to look at your last 60 credits, and you need a 3.5 GPA or better. So keep that in mind, that again, it's a high achieving nurse. We only take so many students into this program. So again, if you're not meeting that, look at our Earn to BSN program with early assurance into grad programs. You do need to complete that prerequisite classwork that we talked about on the previous slide. Again, you have 2 years after you're admitted into the program to complete those, but again, you can't start into grad programs until you do. You do need a B or better in all of those classes. The only exception is that English class. You can get a C or better in the English. And now I'm going to talk about the requirements for the acute care track only. So I get this commonly asked, so I'm going to reiterate this. I'm about to move on to a screen that is only going to talk about the prerequisites for acute care. If you are not interested in the acute care track, you're interested in adult geroprimary, you're interested in psychiatric mental health, you're interested in family nurse practitioner, ignore this next slide. This is not about you. So again, if you're interested in acute care only, you do need to have 1 year full-time work experience, which is about 2,000 hours in a 12-month period, as a registered nurse in a critical care unit. We list out what we consider to be critical care units along with the experiences that we want you to have. If you feel like you've had those experiences but you don't see your unit listed, at the bottom of this slideshow is Julie's email address. You can email Julie your work experiences and let her know where you used to work or where you're currently working to see if those will qualify for 1 year full-time experience in a critical care unit as a nurse. Again, if you did this experience before you had your nursing license, it does not count. You need to have 1 year experience as a registered nurse. So if again, you're just now in your ADN program or you're just graduated, this would not qualify. You would need to have 1 year experience after you became a nurse. The other thing that you need to have is ACLS and BLS certification. And finally, there are 2 clinical courses that must be in the state of Michigan. So again, we talked about the no-go states on the last couple of slides. If you are in one of the okay states that's not Michigan, let's say it's Ohio, right? You live in Ohio, you need to have the ability to be on the Michigan side to do these 2 clinical courses. You may be able to do your other clinicals in your state, but these 2 particular ones, you need to be in Michigan. So you need to have the ability to either live in Michigan or cross that Michigan border to do your clinicals for those 2 courses. So let's talk about the application deadlines. So there are 3 different times a year that you can start into the program. Again, you're applying to start into the prereqs, and then as soon as those are done, you just move into graduate level coursework. There's not a secondary application, and you're not picking the start date in which you want to start into graduate programs. You're picking the start date. You're going to take your very first University of Michigan-Flint class with us, or if you've been a student in the past with us, your very first class in the prereqs, okay? So fall start. I highly recommend if you want to start in a fall semester, you get everything turned in by April 1st. If you cannot get everything turned in by April 1st, you have until August 1st to turn everything in. April 1st deadline gives you a couple more options. Our faculty are off during the summer semesters, so they can't review applications. So in May, June, and July, no applications are reviewed. Faculty do not return until mid-August. So you will not find out if you wait till that August 1st deadline, you will not find out if you were admitted or not admitted for the fall start until after the first 7-week classes start, which is normally the end of August. So you could not start into one of those end of August classes. Now, no worries, you can still start in the fall semester in our second 7-week classes that normally start in mid to late October. But if you turn everything in and are admitted in the April 1st deadline, then you will have more flexibility and options to be able to turn everything in by the and register for our first 7-week and or our second 7-week classes in the fall. So again, if you're just graduating and you can't apply by April 1st because you haven't passed your NCLEX, no worries. You can still use that August 1st deadline. But if you're already a registered nurse, try to get everything turned in by April 1st if possible. If you're ready to start in a winter term into those prerequisite classes, you need to turn everything in by November 1st. And if you are ready to start into your prerequisite classes in the summer, you need to have everything again turned in by the April 1st deadline. So here's our website to apply. By watching this webinar and filling out the Google form, you will get the application waiver sent to you. So by watching this webinar and filling out the form, you will get a waiver code sent to you within about 48 business hours of filling out the form. So otherwise, it'll be a $55 application fee. You need to apply through the University of Michigan-Flint, not the nursing CAS application. That we do not accept. You need to apply through the University of Michigan-Flint, and it will be free as long as you fill out that Google form and apply, do it within 7 days. Fill out this application within 7 days of getting that waiver code. Again, the waiver code to waive the $55 when you get it is only good for 7 days, and then it expires. So make sure, even if you're not applying until a future semester, let's say you're going to apply for a year out, make sure you go ahead and fill out the application within that week and then just turn all the other documentation in before the deadlines. So these are the additional things that you need to turn in before the deadlines. Again, fill out the application within a week of getting the waiver code, even if it's a year out. Turn in all of this before those application deadlines, whether it was April 1st, November, or the August 1st deadline. Whatever your deadline was for your semester, this is what needs to be turned in before those deadlines. Now, I'm not going to read this entire slide to you. You're perfectly capable of reading it to yourself, and it's on our website. And then again, once you apply, admissions will follow up with emails reminding you to turn these things in. But I do want to point out 2 things that sometimes students stumble on. The first one is the goal statement. So the goal statement there has about 5 bullet points listed underneath the goal statement. Do not just write a generic goal statement. This goal statement is given with a rubric to the faculty. Each of those bullet points has points associated to it. If you skip over one of those bullet points, you will get 0 points on that particular area. For example, one students a lot of times skip over is describe your research interest because they don't know what they want to study. We're not going to hold it to you. It's not like, oh, you put that in your goal statement. You have to do research in that, but they do want to know what your research interests are. Specifically use the word research interests in your goal statement and then describe what you're interested in. Don't just say, I'm interested in psychiatric nursing. Say, I would love to research psychiatric nursing in X, Y, and Z way. That's going to be important. The second thing is that the letters of recommendation, you need 3, a total of 3. I know there are 3 bullet points. You do not need 1 from each bullet point. You just need a total of 3, and it can come from any combination of those bullet points. They could all 3 be faculty from a recent nursing program. That's fine, just as long as you have a total of 3 and they come from one of those bullet points. So once you're admitted, then you'll book an appointment with either myself, Jennifer, or Tiffany, our other advisors, and go over your prerequisite classes and how fast or slow you want to get those done. So you can book an appointment on our website. We offer face-to-face appointments in both Flint and Lansing. Also offer phone and virtual appointments Monday through Friday with extended time slots on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays for phone and virtual, not face-to-face. So tuition and scholarships. So the prerequisite courses will be at the undergraduate tuition rate. So again, 100 to 400 level courses are at the undergraduate tuition rate. The current 2024-2025 tuition rate is $568 per credit hour for in-state and $626.50 for out-of-state. Once you start into graduate programs, when you finish those, you're starting in a 500 level and above class, then you're going to have the graduate level tuition. The current tuition for in-state is $834 and the out-of-state is $1,248.25 per credit hour. Now, that's the 24-25 curriculum rate. It depends on how fast or slow you do those prerequisite classes. If you take a full 2 years to do those prerequisite classes, the tuition may go up. It goes up traditionally every fall, not by a lot, but it does traditionally go up in the fall. We do offer a lot of different scholarships, and we also offer the Faculty Nursing Loan Forgiveness Program. If that is something you're interested in or you want to look through those, make sure you read through all those different links and the link with the Nursing Faculty Loan Forgiveness Program to find out more information. Again, this slideshow has all those clickable links and they're also on our website. Here's the different advisors. Again, my name is Brooke Michael, and these are the 3 different advisors you'll work with for your pre-nursing classes or your prerequisite classes. So that's the end of our presentation. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any additional questions about the application, make sure you reach out directly to graduate programs. Or once you're admitted, if you have questions about the courses, you're welcome to reach out to us. Thanks and have a great day.